It's been a few months since I made the previous showcase video, and I think it's about time to make another one. I've made significant progress in basically every part of the game, so we're kind of looking at the Polar Darkness before and after. The core systems are now about 99% complete. Most of the important and annoying parts now work. The game can be saved and loaded reliably, it detects the different input devices, and it shows the correct button prompts based on whatever device you're using. I've also added some quality of life features, such as a map which enables you to fast travel between places, and this cool keyword system which you can use to interrogate people based on the keywords you have collected. You know, proper detective stuff in a detective game. I've added brightness calibration at the start of the game, cleared tons and tons of bugs, and done a lot of optimization. The game is now super performant, but more on that a little bit later. The one thing that has remained mostly unchanged is the narrative. Well, that's probably to be expected because it's the part I've been building in my brain for the past several years. A cynical journalist is sent to a remote Finnish village to write an article about the child preacher of a controversial revival movement. During the sermon, the child mysteriously disappears and a blizzard cuts the village off from the rest of society. The player gets stuck there while an outside influence slowly starts to change the village and its inhabitants. It's essentially Stanley Kubrick's The Shining mixed with True Detective and Lovecraftian cosmic horror. The story is split into 3 game days. I've currently completed roughly 50% of the first day in terms of content, so things are progressing exactly on schedule. And because we're in Finland, I've tried my best to make the Polar Darkness as Finnish as possible. Cops drive a Saab, you can watch old TV documentaries in the in-game TVs, play a round of Pajazzo, or engage in some control system shenanigans with a Commodore 64. I know it's not a Finnish computer, but we had more of these things per capita than almost anywhere else in the world. Consider yourself educated. I have a pretty unique approach to the audio visuals of the game. For the characters, I use photographs of real people. The photos are edited into rigged sprites, which are then dropped into a 3D game world. The Polar Darkness is a 2.5D side-scrolling point-and-click adventure, so you move around strictly on 2 planes. Combining high-resolution sprites with stylized 3D environments creates this super eerie, intentionally uncanny atmosphere that fits the rest of the game like a glove. Compared to the previous video, the visuals have taken a giant leap. I've been able to replace the placeholder character photos with finalized ones, and there's a massive difference. Big thanks to friends, family and volunteers for filling the roles. I love the idea that behind every character is a real person. I've made several adventure games before, and for those I've used Unity add-ons like Playmaker and especially Adventure Creator, which is a really good asset if you want to focus on content. For the Polar Darkness, I wanted to take a different route, mostly because of the challenge. I would have needed to customize Adventure Creator quite a bit to make it fit the specifications of this game. After doing the math, I realized I could probably build my own tools in roughly the same amount of time. So I decided to do exactly that. I now have my own cutscene system in place which takes care of the game logic. The dialogue system is built around ink just for the sake of convenience. I wasn't that crazy to build my own system for conversations, although that thought did cross my mind. As the title suggests, the Polar Darkness takes place during the polar night in Finland. When it's at its full strength, the sun doesn't rise at all. The few light sources are an essential part of the atmosphere, but I also wanted to turn light into a game mechanic. The problem is that lights are one of the more expensive things in terms of performance. I could have made the lighting fully dynamic, but I didn't want to sacrifice performance. So I decided to cheat. Eventually, I got away with using a single dynamic light source. It's bolted to the camera, and it reacts to these lighting zones when the player enters them. The range and intensity of the camera light are calculated based on the player's position relative to the center of each zone. The result is that it looks like the environmental lights are dynamically illuminating the world, but they're not. It's basically a cheap parlor trick, but it's extremely performant, and I absolutely love the way it makes the lighting feel alive. The second major optimization has to do with the material setup I'm using. Most of the textured surfaces you see in the game are sprites that share the same material. This allows me to batch the draw calls instead of constantly asking the GPU to render different materials. The meshes can still have different base colors through Unity's renderer user values while remaining batched together. I did the same thing with the emissive material used for the in-game lights. They can have different colors, but they are all batched into a single draw call. Thanks to this setup, I can get away with just a handful of materials and draw calls. The end result is that you won't need a top-of-the-line graphics card to play this game. In fact, the Polar Darkness already runs at 60 frames per second on Steam Deck. And now that most of the technical stuff is sorted out, my focus is slowly shifting towards content. I have 3 game days to fill, and this is where the game really gets made. Because it doesn't matter how fancy your toolbox is if the game fails to deliver a compelling story or rewarding puzzles. I keep comparing the Polar Darkness to Gabriel Knight, which is a pretty bold statement. But I'm very confident I can deliver. If this sounds like your kind of game and you want to follow it all the way to release, consider wishlisting the Polar Darkness on Steam. Wishlists genuinely make a difference for a small indie game like this, both showing me that people are interested and by helping the game gain visibility on Steam. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you want to see more development videos like this, drop a like and let me know in the comments what part of the game, or game development in general, you'd like me to cover next. And if this kind of stuff is your thing, consider subscribing. I'll see you in the next one.